Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens get to play Russ Wilson, the Pittsburgh Steelers, again as they just faced this team here in Week 16. Ravens, since they won the AFC North, will be hosting the matchup here in Wild Card Weekend. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down this Wild Card matchup between the Steelers and Ravens. But before we get into that, if you like the work that we put out and want to help grow the channel, the easiest way to do that is to hit that subscribe button, tackle that bell to get notified when new videos come out. Leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win and why. And Ryan, Baltimore Ravens clinched the AFC North division on Saturday, beating Bailey Zappi and the Cleveland Browns. Congratulations to, I think, is it Michael Pierce? Was that his name with his first interception of the
That
season?
is
Absolutely amazing. You love to see it. You love to see it. It sucks too. Bailey Zappi is, I think, going to have a solid career, just kind of as a journeyman quarterback, throughout. However, he's always going to be remembered for that interception. That's just what I think
yeah,
it
that
is.
was a tough one. I will say I want to give the Ravens credit. It's very rare that you see nose tackles dropping back into coverage.
I think when it's
The,
week 18 and you're up 24 or however many
yeah,
they're up, they're like, screw it, we're going to win this game. So, but uh, more important story is they're going to be going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who lost the Cincinnati Bengals. And because of that, then too, with the Chargers winning, they actually fell down to the 6th seed. And that's huge too, because I think everybody was trying to get that 5 seed to play the Texans. If you couldn't win the division, you want to go and try and play the Texans at 4. And Steelers were not able to do that. And it's been pretty clear that this offense has just dropped off over the past month, I would say. George Pickens did go out, but they've lost their last 4 games at Philly, at Baltimore, against Kansas City at home, and then against Cincinnati at home. And all those games, they just offensively just did not look that great.
no,
Defensively, I think they did the best that they could defensively. I still think they have one of the top defenses in the league, and I'll kind of get into the statistics here in a little bit, but the offense just has not been playing up to snuff, you know, to the level of the competition that they've been facing over the past 4 months. Or sorry, 4 weeks.
yeah, and that's uh, they have had a tough past 4 weeks. I mean, the Bengals are one of the most explosive offenses in the league. Holding them to 19 points is a really good performance, but they've had one of the worst defenses in the league all season. So only 17 points is bad. 10 points against Kansas City. I think that is like a really good defense there in Kansas City. 17 to Baltimore, 13 to Philly before that. Again, two really good teams, but just a complete drop, like total drop off from the first 2 weeks or from the first few weeks of the season to now. And I think like we were talking a little bit about it in our Texans video. I think there's just been a mentality shift. Like I think the Steelers are just kind of mentally tired and like mentally done, especially on that offensive side of the ball. That production has dropped way off. If it wasn't for like a freak Mike Evans, well, it wasn't a freak. It was a really nice catch by Mike Evans in that first half. I don't know if the Steelers ever really get the ball rolling on offense until later in that game. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about, but I believe it was like a 3rd and
Mike Evans?
14. No, or not Mike Williams. Mike Williams. My
Oh,
apologies.
okay. Okay.
Uh, like, and Russell Wilson just kind of chucked one down the sideline to a jump ball to Mike Williams, and he made a great like toe tap sideline for I believe it was like 28 yards, and like that to me was kind of like the spurt that got this Steelers offense going, and like if that doesn't happen, especially in the first half, I really don't think that they are able to do much, if anything at all, and that is against a bad Bengals defense, one of the worst Bengals defenses in the league. So coming into this matchup, especially you were just here 4 weeks ago uh, at Baltimore, and you had a competitive first half, but Baltimore ran away with it in the second half and put up 34 on you.
Well, and that's I had the stat, just kind of the play by play here for that game a couple weeks ago, but and that was kind of the big difference though in that was Russell Wilson's play in the second half. He had the poor interception thrown for a touchdown. Then he had some other errors as well that put the Steelers behind the 8 ball. And we've seen that kind of consistently, I feel, over these past couple of weeks, even to then in the Cincinnati game last night. he just didn't set them up for success. I think some poor decisions and clock management, and that could even go up to the coaching as well when it comes to clock management. But I think Russell Wilson's play has dropped over the past couple of weeks. While on the flip side, though, you go look at the Ravens. Now we do need to monitor Zay Flowers because he left the game with a knee injury. It might have just been precautionary. That's something to watch throughout the week. I would not be surprised to see him, but sorry, I would be surprised if Zay Flowers does not play. I think it might have been a little more precautionary. It looked like he was able to get up on his own power, but that's a storyline that we'll need to watch throughout the week. But I just go look at this Ravens team, and even though the Steelers are the sixth best run defense when it comes to rushing yards allowed, I still feel like they're just going to have a tough time stopping this offense as a whole. Because on the flip side, they're sixth in rushing yards, they're 25th in passing yards allowed, and
Yeah.
so I think that's an area that they need to improve on is in the secondary as well. And even too, if you go back and look at the game just a couple weeks ago, uh, they Baltimore ran for 220 yards uh, against this team. So in their first matchup earlier on, they were even still able to run for 124. So
Yeah.
they're going to have their ability to move the ball on the ground against this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and I think they're going to be able to. Uh, that's going to open things up in the passing game for Zay Flowers, for Mark Andrews, who's really come on strong, Rashad Bateman. So,
I will say Zay Flowers did get banged up in the game on Saturday, so
yeah,
I am
that's what I was
curious to
saying.
see if he's able to go.
Well, exactly. I would be
Yeah.
surprised if he's not able to go. It's going to be something to monitor because he did get hurt against the Browns game, and he didn't come back in. Not that I was aware of, at least. And so it's probably
Mhm.
precautionary to keep him out, but that's something to monitor. But yeah, when it comes to like deciding on this game, Russell Wilson's going to have to play like the Russell Wilson from weeks 9, 10, 11 when this offense was clicking. George Pickens is going to have to not drop the ball. He had 3 drops against Cincinnati
Yeah.
Bengals, which is unacceptable. I think he had 6 targets for in 1 catch. So he's going to have to be their number 1 guy. Uh, and on the flip side too, Pittsburgh defense is going to have to somehow shut down Derrick Henry. Going to have to try and make Lamar Jackson and this team one dimensional, and they contain Lamar Jackson's legs. They were able to do that earlier on in the year in a kind of a sloppy game, but in that game also too, Justin Tucker missed 2 or 3 field goals. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't have that game up, but
Yeah.
it was a game the Ravens should have won. Yet there were just consistent errors by the team that they have since cleaned up, and this Baltimore team is playing legit. Like I think that they are one of the few teams I think that could go into Arrowhead and beat them. If things work out, I think it's going to be an amazing matchup in the divisional round between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. That's going to be a phenomenal matchup because I think Buffalo's going to be looking to want to bounce back from their thumping from Baltimore earlier on in the season. So,
Mhm.
and kind of with that being said, I am going to go with Baltimore here. I think the team that's more consistent. I think their offensive line has gelled a lot throughout the season, has become one of the better offensive lines in the league. They're young, and unfortunately for the rest of the league, that means that they're just going to keep getting better. And so with Tyler Linderbaum leading the way, and so Ronnie Stanley, I think, is going to be a free agent, so that's going to be something that they'll have to monitor. But we'll have to actually even. I need to go back and look at the stats. He might not have even been playing. Ravens fans, put in the chat below. I actually don't even know if he's been starting as of late. But correct me if I'm wrong, please. So, Ryan, with that being said, who do you have winning this game and why?
I'm gonna go with Baltimore. They're just the better team, and this is the freshest we've ever seen Lamar Jackson this late in a season. Derrick Henry, he'll be 31, I believe, by the time this game starts. So,
Hmm.
one happy birthday to him. But I do want to go back. So I referenced that sequence early in the video early on in that Bengals Steelers game. Like if this play doesn't happen, they like this offense really has no momentum at all. So it was their second possession. First possession was 3 plays for -6 yards and a punt. Their first 2 plays on this possession were uh, a penalty. It looks like no, sorry, uh, a 10-yard run, run for no gain, or no, run for -1 yard, and an incomplete pass. So now it's 3rd and 11. Uh, this was a 25-yard catch by Mike Williams on the sideline as the first quarter expired. that was their only touchdown drive. So if Mike Williams doesn't make that incredible catch, the next 3 drives were 3 plays, 7 yards, punt, 6 plays, 20 yards, then they would turn over on downs, and then the end of half. And that would have been it. It would have been 13-0,
Mhm.
and, like, they would have had nothing to even come back and really fight for, there at the end, because it would have just gotten out of hand. And so if it's not for that one explosive play, which I'm not a big proponent of offenses relying on explosive plays, this is not a close game to, again, one of the worst defenses in the league. Now you're going to go into Baltimore, who they have the top or one of the top rushing defenses in the league. This pass defense as of late has been a lot better, and it's an environment that they just whooped your ass in a month ago.
Well, and
So
I think a lot better is relative because this pass defense has really been struggling, and if that is an area that
yeah,
Baltimore might be weakened, it is going to be in that secondary. But kind of going back to our point though is, and I wish we would have said this sooner though, but so Baltimore's 30th when it comes to passing yards allowed, 244 passing yards allowed on average per game. The last time the Pittsburgh Steelers threw for over 200 yards in a game was week 13 against Cincinnati Bengals when they had that crazy
like
that
41 to
crazy game.
30.
They haven't broken 200 passing yards since then. They've
Yeah,
only broken 300 total yards in a game twice, and they barely did it. They barely did it against Baltimore in Week 17. Then they did 364 against Kansas City, but that was a blowout game. So like this
yeah,
offense has fallen off a cliff.
yeah,
So it's going to be interesting. I don't know how they're going to fix it now. It's not nearly as bad as like Philadelphia last year, but it is kind of reminiscent of just this offense just falling off a cliff with like the final month of the season.
yeah. And that's like, I think it's just gonna be a tough pill for the Pittsburgh fans to swallow. But Baltimore's just a different caliber of team right now.
Yeah.
And if this game was played 10 weeks ago, maybe I would feel different about it. But right now, Baltimore is just a better team. So,
Well, they did play about 10 weeks ago, and that was the
well,
game. Yeah,
yeah,
that was the game that Pittsburgh barely won because of Justin Tucker.
yeah,
And
yeah,
even in
exactly.
that game, actually, they only had 303 total yards of offense. They didn't even crack 200 passing yards in that
Yeah,
game. So,
yeah, and that was like, in my opinion, the height of all of the secondary struggles for Baltimore.
yeah, they had a
So,
bunch of struggles. So,
yeah. But let's go ahead. We are both picking Baltimore in this wild card weekend matchup. Let's go ahead. We'll wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Pittsburgh Steelers? Will it be the Baltimore Ravens? Other than that, we will see you guys next time.